Medal of Honor Airborne is a hidden gem World War II first-person shooter released in 2007 on PC, Xbox 360, and PlayStation 3, and it's considered by many as the last true game in the series, before it would attempt to take on a more modern tone with the reboots, and then a mixed reception VR game, followed by nothing. Now let us not forget that 2007 was the year in which Halo 3, Bioshock, and Modern Warfare came out, so this game, despite all its innovations and ambition, was pretty much doomed to fly under the radar, pun intended, cause, Airborne, they fly in planes. Never mind. Now, I guess I should mention that I don't have a ton of experience with the MOH franchise, having only played the original on PS1, Underground on GBA, Allied Assault, and the 2010 reboot, but I think that's enough experience to discuss the series, right? Now, one of this game's selling points is that you play as an airborne soldier in the American offensive against Italy and Germany in World War II, and every level begins with you parachuting in and being able to land wherever you want, an idea that was a bit ahead of its time, but many other games would proceed to use this same mechanic later, such as Section 8 Prejudice, Fortnite, and COD Warzone. Now, being able to drop in wherever you wish was really innovative for a first-person shooter, I'd say, as it gave the player freedom to start campaign levels from wherever they wanted, and allowed for different playstyles, like being able to cautiously start at a safe spot, or jumping right into an active combat zone, or landing on a building and doing some sniping before climbing down. It was really up to the player, and adding to this freedom, objectives can, to an extent, be completed in whatever order the player wants. But if that wasn't enough freedom, the game also allows you to start every level with a custom loadout, something not many FPSs had done yet to the best of my knowledge, although the highly renowned Black Ops 2 would later take this idea and improve upon it. Of course, I'm not saying that Airborne directly influenced the BO2 campaign in this way, but it is possible. Anyways, this title offers 11 guns to choose from to start your levels with, being rifles, SMGs, ARs, a shotgun, and a couple of infinite ammo pistols, with one only being available in the last 2 levels. I'm not sure if I have a favorite firearm personally, but the Tommy gun and the M1 Garand are a couple possibilities. In addition to these, you can also find a couple explosive weapons in some of the levels, being a Panzerschreck and a recoilless rifle. Plus, you also had 3 grenade types: normal frag grenades, stick grenades, or potato mashers, as some called them, and gammon grenades, super powerful hand nades capable of blowing up tanks. Now, Airborne has a pretty interesting weapon upgrade system, and I've never seen anything quite like it in other games. Each gun, and grenades, has 3 tiers of progress, and you earn XP by killing enemies, with XP boosts for headshots and combo kills. And when you level up a weapon, it gets a magazine refill and a random attachment, like an extended mag, a bayonet, or a new sight, or ammo capacity increases for grenades. This upgrade system was pretty unique, as in most shooters, there either is no upgrade system, or you can choose your own attachments. But in the case of Airborne, I like this system. I felt it encouraged me to try out all the new weapons, and it was always exciting seeing what I would unlock next. Plus, there are some achievements related to gun upgrades. While we're on the topic of weaponry, I would like to brush on melee combat. You know how in most CODs, your character pulls out a knife, stabs or slices an enemy, and then resheathes their blade, and melee is always a one-hit? Super unrealistic. Airborne was a bit more realistic in that you most often use weapon bashes for melee attacks, which weren't insta-kills. I mean, if someone hits you in the stomach with the butt of a rifle once, you probably won't die. Although there were bayonets, like I said earlier, which were a one-hit, and the MP40 did have the pull out a knife to melee thing as its final upgrade, but that was only with a single gun. To round off hand-to-hand fighting, while parachuting down, you could kick an enemy if you were landing in a combat zone, and there was an achievement for pulling this off, and it was a lot harder than it sounds. Moving on to other things on the topic of combat, let's talk about the healing system. It's a very interesting hybrid of the self-healing system that many shooters adapted, while also keeping the old-school find-a-med-pack system, and the only other game I know of that used this system is Aliens Colonial Marines, another game I recently reviewed. Now, the way this mechanic worked is that you have 4 little bars of health, and if you get hit, your health will refill itself up to the last bar. Like, say you got shot, and you lost half a bar of health. That 1 bar will regenerate by itself, but if you lost 2.5 bars, the 2 completely lost bars will require medkits for healing. I hope this explanation makes sense. If you've played this title, you know how it works. I would say that this healing system added quite a bit of challenge to the game, as a lot of my deaths would have been avoided if I had a standard healing system, but I really do appreciate the challenge provided here, although I understand why COD players would find this off-putting. Another thing that added to this game's challenge was not being able to walk and aim at the same time, a mechanic which had gotten old by the time Airborne rolled around, and I could not stand this feature on my first playthrough, but I learned to get used to it and actually enjoyed this after a while. But again, I understand why some people wouldn't like this. But these 2 things did add quite a bit of challenge to the game, and this is one of the hardest first-person shooters I've played on Xbox 360, looking at games on the normal difficulty. And while not as challenging as, say, Enemy Front, it's a lot tougher than any COD that I've played. And speaking of difficulty, the last 2 levels of this game are exceptionally hard, and it felt great beating this game. As far as enemy variety goes, this title has you fighting unexperienced Italian soldiers in the first half of the intro level, but battle-hardened Germans for the rest of the game, who progressively get tougher the longer you play, as you start off with more basic foot soldiers, but then you later have to deal with Panzerschreck soldiers, deadly snipers, and armored machine gun-wielding juggernauts, so Airborne has a good opponent variety for a World War II game. Now, one thing I will criticize this game for is achievements. You know how in most games, if there are 3 achievements, beat the game on easy, normal, and hard, and you beat the game on normal, you'll get the easy achievement as well? Well, not with Airborne. This title requires you to finish the game 3 times on all 3 difficulties to get all achievements, so RIP. That being said, I beat the game 3 times, once on normal over a year ago, then again on normal recently for this video, and also on easy for an achievement, so I've thrice completed this game. One thing that made this task easier is that Airborne does have a short campaign that can be completed in maybe 5 hours on the lowest difficulty, and maybe 6 to 7 hours on normal, depending on how good you are. As far as the story for the game goes, there's not a lot going on here. You play as a paratrooper named Boyd Travers, and he reaches the rank of corporal during the war. So, not a super memorable story, but it was good enough, and while not on the same level as World at War, this title has some dark and grim moments. Apart from the campaign, there was an online multiplayer mode that's been shut down, so no comment on it, although a bunch of achievements are sadly locked to the MP. Aside from this, there are some unlockable behind-the-scenes videos about the game's development that were really a treat to watch, and they showed how far the dev team went to try and be as realistic as possible in some areas. Graphically, the game looks really good if you ask me, and mostly ran well performance-wise, although it had some notable frame rate drops at times. The sound effects are all great, and in the aforementioned videos, you saw that the audio team recorded actual gunshot sounds, an actual tank, and they even got to fly in a World War II paratrooper plane. I don't know what to call them, the planes that paratroopers jumped out of, but the devs did a stellar job in the sound department, and the soundtrack is really good as well. In conclusion, Medal of Honor Airborne is a somewhat short, but very replayable and very fun World War II game that had many creative ideas and was ahead of its time in some ways, but it was sadly destined to be unsuccessful because of the declining popularity of the franchise due to Call of Duty and Battlefield taking MOH's thunder, and I give this game a 8.9 out of 10 by my grade scale. Now, I did previously give this game a lower score in a short review, but my opinions have changed since then. As far as similar video games I'd suggest, I'm gonna say Call of Duty 3 and Enemy Front, both of which I have reviewed. Links will be in the end cards for anyone who wants to check those out. As a side note, I think this game could have had a really fun co-op mode, but considering that the hardware at the time obviously struggled to handle some parts of the game, it likely would have came out rather messy. But yeah, this game is a hidden gem in my opinion, and I honestly think if this game had come out in modern times, especially with COD Burnout, it would have likely sold more copies and met better reception than it did in 07, and I really do hope that Medal of Honor can see a true comeback someday. Who knows, maybe with EA being sold to Saudi Arabia and the rumors that EA IPs will be sold off, maybe a competent company who actually cares will get their hands on the series. Maybe even Atari. That'd be interesting. Certainly not out of the question, since they have been buying up old IPs and smaller game companies here of late. Anyways, that's it for my review for today. Thanks for watching, I hope y'all enjoyed. As far as our Bible verse of the day, I read from 1 Corinthians 3:9 NIV. For we are co-workers in God's service. You are God's field, God's building. And for any newcomers here, I mostly review and discuss video games, so feel free to check out some of my other vids if that sounds interesting. Like always, none of my content is AI generated, I create my own stuff, keep YouTube human, and I do not consent to my voice and likeness being modified, altered, and copied by AI in any way. Jesus loves you all, thanks again for watching, peace. And if you get hit, your health will... And every level begins with you parachuting in and being able to land wherever you want. An idea a bit